All right, hello and welcome everyone to our session today where we're going to discover the power of PlayPosit interactive video. Today's May 9th, 2024. Welcome and let's get started. To begin, if you could, please just share in the chat if you're joining us live right now, what your experience level is with PlayPosit. So just put a 1 in the chat if you've never used it, 2 if you've used it before, and 3 if you use PlayPosit regularly. And I'm going to wait about a minute for folks to join and share their experience level. And also feel free to share where you're joining from. All right, and this is an introductory session for PlayPosit. So if you are new to PlayPosit, then you are in the right place. Additionally, I'm sharing in the chat right now a link to our participant handout for this session. So feel free to grab that link and access that document. It looks like this, and it's got a handful of resources based on which learning management system you might be using, or if you're not using one. And it's going to have some step-by-step resources here that we'll be going through today, as well as a few additional resources for YouTube and our customer resource page, as well as office hours. So bookmark that document and feel free to reference it both today and after the session as well. All right. Okay, and with that, we are going to dive right in. But first, just a quick intro on who I am. My name is Dylan Blatt, and I'm a customer success manager here at PlayPosit, which is powered by WeVideo. I am an instructional design resource and really work closely with many K-12 districts around the country, as well as higher ed institutions to help them get the most out of using PlayPosit for learning and instruction. So that's my role here. For today, I'll be facilitating our webinar and hopefully give you some insight in how you might benefit from using PlayPosit in your instruction. So just some brief session norms for today. Please be courageous. If you're joining us live, would love to hear from you. Feel free to share any insights and ideas that you have. Ask questions in the chat. We've got my colleague Jason here behind the scenes. He's a PlayPosit expert and will be able to help answer some of your questions in real time. Of course, think with the learner in mind, right? We're here to support learners at whatever level we may be teaching or working. And so keep that at the forefront of any discussion that we have. Appreciate you joining. If it's live on this Thursday afternoon here on the East Coast or whatever time zone you may be joining from, but do your best to stay engaged, and we appreciate however that works best for you. And then innovate. If you have any interesting ideas to share, a lot of the best features and tools that we have come from user feedback. So those are some general session norms to keep in mind. Here's our plan for this 1-hour session today. I'll start with just a brief overview of what PlayPosit is and why you might consider using it. Then I'll give you a chance to have the learner experience with a PlayPosit interactive video. So you have a chance to kind of do that independently and test that out for yourself. I'll share a few popular use cases that we often see teachers and instructors taking advantage of, but this will definitely not be a comprehensive list, just a few ideas to get you started. The bulk of our session will be me demoing PlayPosit for you and allowing you hopefully the chance to follow along and get that hands-on practice. And then at the end, I'll share some ways you can support learners who are new to using PlayPosit, as well as some resources for you as well. And then we'll make some space for questions at the end. So that is our plan for today. But again, don't wait until the end for questions. Just put them in the chat if you're joining us live at any point, and either myself or Jason should be able to help you out. So with that, let's start with an overview of PlayPosit. So at its core, PlayPosit is an instructional design studio. It allows you to choose a video, whether it's from YouTube, Vimeo, or maybe you have access to a private video host like Kaltura, Panopto, or Yuja. Take that video, and on top of it, you can overlay interactions to make it more engaging and meaningful for your learners. And then you can assign that content to your learners, whether it is through your learning management system or outside of that space as well. So again, it's an instructional design studio allowing you to choose that video source and create an interactive video with it. Now, a lot of the advanced features in PlayPosit utilize the rich text editor. So any place as an instructor that you're typing inside the PlayPosit Design Studio, whether you're building a question, an answer, maybe you're adding feedback for your learners, you can use that rich text editor to format the text, to add things like images or audio. You can even add jumps to your interactions to differentiate the learning. So there's a lot of ways to kind of differentiate and customize the experience to make it meaningful for your learners. And here in this particular kind of clip on the right side of the screen, you are seeing the instructor view of the PlayPosit Design Studio. So on the right is the preview of that video. In this case, it's on urban geography. But on the left here, you are seeing kind of the space where the instructor designs that lesson or that content with things like the equation editor or the rich text editor, which has, again, the space for personalized audio recordings, images, and formatting the text as well. So that is just a quick sneak preview into what that space looks like. We're going to get more into that later on in this session, just so you can start to visualize it now. One piece of vocabulary that we do need to just name before we go any further is the term bulb, which is our word for the end product that you're creating in PlayPosit. So really, it's just our term for an interactive video that you create in PlayPosit and assign to your learners, which could be assigned asynchronously as kind of a self-paced object. It could be synchronous. You do it live in what we call our broadcast functionality, or you can even assign the learner access to build their own interactive video, which we call a learner-made bulb. And in some instances, if your organization has the playlist application, you can even add additional resources as well as these interactive videos called bulbs inside of kind of a one-click, one-stop shop we call playlist. So that's one of my favorite aspects of the tool. We've got a session on that as well. If you have any questions or thoughts on that, feel free to share those and we can help you out. All right, so that is kind of the what of PlayPosit. Here's more of the why. So in terms of the benefits that people get from using the tool and kind of what pulls them towards using it, it's really three main reasons. So one is accountability. When learners are engaging with a PlayPosit bulb, remember that's an interactive video, you can disable fast forwarding and skipping. You can monitor kind of where they're at in watching the content. And we have what's called the active tab player. So if they switch tabs or windows, the video will automatically pause. So just a few ways to hold learners accountable and track, the engagement that you're seeing from them, whether it's for a grade or to kind of check for understanding. In terms of accessibility, we take that very seriously. So we have interactive searchable transcripts, closed captions if you need, and we are screen reader compatible and WCAG 2.3 compliant. And then in terms of content digestion, we have a built-in notepad for learners that is exportable and searchable. You can also configure, if you'd like, in the settings so learners can export a report at the end of everything they've engaged with. And teachers can even monitor the notes if they choose as well. So these are some of the out-of-the-box benefits of PlayPosit. All you have to do is add a video to your bulb, and you'll automatically get all of these features built right in before you've even added any interactions at all. So this is kind of the why behind PlayPosit. Now, that's enough about the overview. It's time for you to experience what a learner would experience, just to get that sort of backwards looking view of the end product. And so in a moment, I'm going to share with you a link that will give you a chance to engage with a short bulb. It's actually a TED Talk on how to start a movement. And what I'd like you to do is open an incognito window if you're using Google Chrome, copy and paste this link that I'm about to put in the chat. And then it'll just ask you for your first and last name to start. You can also make up one based on your favorite fictional character if you don't want to put your own name. And then take a few minutes. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer for you to engage with the interactive video. And then you can let us know by typing done in the chat when you are finished. So the reason for this activity is kind of twofold. One is for you to, of course, have the experience of a learner and see what that might be like, right? And two is, as you're engaging, I'll be able to collect some data and show you what that looks like, so you can kind of get that teacher view at the end. Excellent. And welcome to those who are joining us here. Thank you for sharing that feedback. Again, the link is now in the chat for this learner experience bulb. So I'm going to go on mute, start my 5-minute timer, but feel free to ask any questions in the chat as you're engaging with this video. All right, that was about 5 minutes. So we will pause this portion of our webinar here. And I'm just going to put one question in the chat that I'd like you to reflect on. If you're comfortable sharing in the chat as well, that would be great. But how might this type of learner experience be helpful for your instruction and for your students' learning as well? So consider that as we move forward, and feel free to sort of imagine what this might look like in your instructional practice. The other thing I wanted to show you while we're at this stage of our session is what the monitor page looks like as an instructor, as a teacher. And so we've got a few pieces of data here. So I'm going to now move this into the view. But this is the monitor page inside PlayPosit. And we've got a few folks that were engaging in this particular bulb. Great. Thank you, Vanessa, for that. And so in terms of engagement and retention, we can see, how long folks were engaged for on this monitor page, what types of retention and accuracy they have on these questions. Some of the questions may be manually graded. So this is a space where if it's a free response, I can adjust the point value and also add feedback for my learners as well. I can refresh the data in real time and see more populating if it's something that's happening in live time or synchronously. I can even export the data into a CSV for various uses. And if I'm doing this inside of my learning management system, the top left will also have a button that allows me to sync my grades with my gradebook in, let's say, Canvas or Blackboard or another tool that you might be using. So really powerful data and analytics here for you to look at, and then, of course, make data-driven decisions based on. You can even click on this bulb analytics and kind of get an overview of maybe which areas there are learning gaps or overall completion status or scores for learners. You can dive into a particular learner's experience and view that attempt or export it or even reset it. And you can look specifically by interactions one at a time or grade those quickly. So there's a lot here. This is just meant to be kind of a brief overview to show you what you have at your fingertips when learners are engaging or have already engaged with the content. Great, and thank you, Ava, for that insight as well. Perfect. Yeah, and a lot of our folks using PlayPosit do use it in those asynchronous lessons in kind of that flipped classroom model. So this may be a good transition to talk now about some of the use cases that we often see from teachers and instructors using PlayPosit. So here are kind of three of the more popular asynchronous use cases. Again, this is not a comprehensive list by any means, but just a few to get the ideas going. So we see folks doing kind of a skills practice where they share some sort of direct instruction, video content, and then create practice questions for learners with some automated feedback to maybe scale that impact and minimize time. Another very common use case is that interactive video lecture. So you take content that is maybe on YouTube or you have created on a private video host, and then to maximize that digestion of the content, we add kind of check for understanding questions and ways to engage learners throughout. Those could be automated grading questions, or they could be things like a discussion post or open response as well. And then the last one is the lecture discussion. Oftentimes, instructors will want to take content in video form and then build an engaging discussion around it, which can then be continued inside of classroom or synchronous space as well. So that is another really common use case. And I'm going to give you kind of a quick example for each of these so you can visualize it and see what it might look like in PlayPosit. So that first one is the skills practice. So here you're seeing kind of a middle school math, two-step algebra equation example. The video is highlighting just the basic steps for solving this equation, which is pretty brief. Maybe learners have already seen this in class, but it's just a refresher on this skill. And then this PlayPosit bulb has a handful of fill-in-the-blank questions that are paired with this PDF worksheet learners can access here on the left side. So they can download that worksheet, work those questions out on paper or on their computer, and then enter the answers here for automatic graded responses and feedback. And then, of course, the teacher has access to that data, which could be graded or could just be a chance for some extra practice, either during independent practice time in class or maybe as a homework or after school assignment as well. And this doesn't have to be fill in the blank questions. It could be multiple choice or other question types like check all. But this is just one example of kind of scaling that impact and giving many students a chance to practice a particular skill. So that's one example that is pretty powerful. I would have definitely used that in my middle school math classroom if I had the opportunity. This one is an interactive video lecture on some of the impacts and information around consuming caffeine. So this one has sort of an overview of the lesson in what's called a pause interaction, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then from here, the learner engages with this 4 or 5 minute video, and throughout they're going to see some different interactions. So here is some key terms that pop up on the left. They can write these down or copy and paste them into their notes for, again, that retention, as was mentioned in the chat earlier. So here you're seeing the learner copying and pasting some notes. And then I'll just skip forward a bit, and you'll see throughout there are some kind of checkpoint questions to measure understanding here and get some feedback on how they're doing in terms of processing the information. So here's some checkpoint questions in the form of multiple choice. This one's a true false. And later on, we'll see a couple other formats as well. So I'm going to skip ahead in the video just a little bit here. And here we're seeing this is a free response question. So learners can use that rich text editor and type a bulleted list or a paragraph. They can even record audio for their response or upload an image. And as the instructor, you can, like you're seeing here, set up automated feedback. So this can be sort of an exemplar response for learners. Maybe it's a lower stakes kind of assessment question, and you want them to know what their response should have included. So you can do that. You can also add the manual feedback individually later on too. So this is just a second example here of what an interactive video lecture could look like. And this, again, is just a short video with a few questions and interactions built on top of it. And then the third one is a lecture discussion. And so here, you only need a few things to set this up. This one is going to have sort of an overview of the video so learners know what to expect. And we're going to see that in just a moment. So here's kind of the overview with the objectives of the lesson, a little bio on the speaker, and some details about this activity. So kind of part one is the overview. Part two is that the video itself that learners are going to be watching and engaging with, maybe taking notes on as they engage. And then at the end of this particular example is going to be a discussion interaction, allowing learners to engage with each other and with the teacher or the instructor as well. You can reply to posts and edit as well, and even as the instructor, you can share that feedback inside the discussion as well. So that is here at the end. And when you set up that discussion, you can also add some kind of requirements or general parameters for your learners. So those are 3 generic examples, but there are many more ways this tool can be powerful. I just wanted to share a couple with you, and feel free to share in the chat if any of those resonate or if something that you maybe have done or are thinking about doing in your instruction. And I'll pause here just for a moment if there's any questions, thoughts, feedback that come through the chat. I would also just ask at this point for you to, if you are going to follow along, which would be great, log into your learning management system if you're using one. And so you can access PlayPosit from there, and I'll kind of show you that workflow in just a moment. All right. So at this point, we've talked enough about what PlayPosit is, why you might use it, how you might use it. It's now time to actually use the tool, show you the flow, give you a chance to get in there and practice on your own as well, so that you feel comfortable after today's session implementing this strategy or these tools inside your practice. Awesome. All 3. Love it. Okay. So here's the general workflow. So if you're using PlayPosit inside your learning management system, which there are many options to do, you can kind of access it from there. And I'll show you one example. I'm going to use Canvas in my workflow, which is similar to the other tools, but that's what I'm going to demo today. You can also go straight to playposit.com/login and you can access it outside of your learning management system as well. Then once you're in PlayPosit in that instructional design studio, it's really going to be a 3-step process. One is select a video. So you can do that from YouTube, Vimeo, or a private video host if you have access. You can then use the power of interactivity to add interactions on top of your video. We have templates that might make it a little bit easier for you and save some time, or you can custom add a handful of different interaction types, which you're seeing listed here on the bottom of the screen. Things like multiple choice, check all, fill in the blank, which can all be auto-graded, or free response, pause interaction, discussion. You can add a PDF file, embed a website, or even a poll. So there's a handful of options. I'm going to highlight a few of them today, but I just want you to know what is available for you. And the last step is to actually link that bulb. Remember, bulb just means interactive video to your assignment inside your learning management system, or share it with your learners, either self-paced, which is our asynchronous option, or if you want to do it synchronously, you can use the live broadcast functionality. Question in the chat about the slide deck being available. This session is being recorded, so if you're registered for it and you've joined us today, you'll have access to watch the entire session again. You can kind of fast forward and move through the slides in that way at any point. All right. With that, perfect. We are going to dive in. I'm going to actually just kind of reset my screen so I can show you side by side kind of my lesson plan and also my workflow. And so this may be a good time for me to share with you the participant guide. This is just going to be a 1-pager. If you want to follow along with exactly what I'm doing, it's just going to give you sort of the lesson plan you can copy and paste into the interactions as we go. You're also welcome to just go off script and kind of follow the steps, but create your own lesson as well. Maybe that's one that you already have in mind for your learners. So feel free to choose your own adventure, but this guide, which I just put in the chat, looks like this. It's a 1-pager, and it's just going to give you the link to the video I'm going to use and the text that I'm going to be copying and pasting if you want to actually mimic what I'm doing here. So that's in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment so that I can reset kind of a side-by-side screen view with the participant guide I just shared, as well as my learning management system, so I can kind of show you that workflow. And again, I mentioned this before, I'm going to be using Canvas for my example here, but you are welcome to, give me 1 second. All right. You are welcome to follow along in your own learning management system, which is going to be kind of a similar flow here. If you have any questions about what that flow looks like, it is in that original interactive handout that we shared at the very beginning of the session. There are links to resources and help articles for each specific learning management system, or if you're not using an LMS as well. All right. And actually, I'll just share that one more time with anybody who still needs it. So that is going to go in the chat as well, just in case maybe you joined late or you need that again. Okay, so that last link is for the original handout that goes with today's session. All right, so at this point, you're seeing my screen kind of side-by-side view here. And what you're seeing is on the left, the participant guide that I'm going to be using to copy and paste and kind of build my lesson. And on the right is going to be my learning management system and eventually PlayPosit as I get into that tool. So I'm in Canvas here. If you're using Canvas, great, you can follow along here. If not, you can follow, again, the instructions on the handout for your LMS. But I'm going to click Add Assignment here. And then I'll just give it a title. I'll just call this Webinar Demo 5924. And you can type a description as usual for what this assignment entails. If you need, you can change the points. But what I really want to point your attention to is how to access PlayPosit. And so inside of Canvas, you go to the submission type section right here. Make sure the dropdown says External Tool. And then you click Find. And for your example, if your institution has PlayPosit, you should be able to find just one option that says PlayPosit. I've got a few options because there's some testing environments here. But click on the option that says PlayPosit. And then you're going to see a screen that looks like this. It's kind of a gray screen. That is a good sign. That means you're in the right place. And from here, you can actually choose two options, either enter PlayPosit or set link. And both of those are going to take you to the same place. So you choose enter PlayPosit or set link. And that will give you a view into your PlayPosit account. If you haven't done this before, it will automatically provision you an account in your institutional license. And then you'll see this My Bulbs list. There may be no bulbs here because you may not have created any in the past. If you have, you'll see a few. But what I would like you to do at this point when you're here is click that Add New Bulb button, and that's how you're going to start creating your content. So click that button in the top left corner. That will open a new tab and enter you right into the Instructional Design Studio, which looks like this. And I'm just going to pause here for about 30 seconds if anyone needs to catch up on that part. All right, from here, if you are following along with me and you want to kind of copy my flow here, you can grab that link here where it says how to start a movement. Just copy that link URL over. Or if you have another video in mind, whether it's from your own private video hosting service or from YouTube, where you have the URL ready to go, you can pull it in here. Because step one is going to be to bring our video source, choose our video source and bring the video into our PlayPosit bulb. So oftentimes I will go to YouTube and kind of search for content, but right now I have the link. So I'll click input URL and I'm just going to, on my keyboard, kind of paste that in using my shortcut, or you can right click and paste it. And whenever you do pull a video in, it will look something like this with a preview window, and you'll have the opportunity to change the title if you would like to of your bulb. And now you could be done at this point with just bringing your video in and click done, or you can customize, and I'll just show you those other options briefly. So if you do click customize here, you can pull in captions for your learners. So in this case, this is a YouTube video, so I'm going to view any available captions from YouTube. You can check off whichever options are available and download those if you choose, and then your learners will have that option. And again, you can click done, but maybe you want to customize just a bit further. And so the third step here is trim and crop. And so here you can trim the video or click advanced and even crop part of the middle if you choose. For me, for YouTube videos, I like to kind of crop the end. So I just get rid of those ads that pop up. So you can just drag that red icon from the end or the green one from the beginning. And whenever you got that where you like it, you can just click done. And so those are really the three steps for the video segment portion. So you can choose your video source, you can add captions if you'd like, and you can trim and crop the video as well. One thing I do like to name here, it's a common question that gets asked, is the editing of the video going to impact the actual video on YouTube or in Panopto or Kaltura, wherever the video might be? The answer is no. It's just going to impact the way it's viewed by your learners through this PlayPosit bulb. So you're not actually editing the video, the underlying video itself, so no worries there. And you can also copy this process again and add multiple videos by clicking this Add Video button. And so you can create sort of a series of videos that play as one seamless experience right here inside your PlayPosit bulb. So that is up to you to decide how you want the videos to play and which videos you want. But that is kind of step one here, is just bringing that video in. But PlayPosit wouldn't be as powerful if it wasn't for the interactivity options. So that's where we're going to spend some time now kind of practicing that flow. So the first thing I do want to point out is when you're ready to add interactivity to your bulb, you just need to find the spot that you'd like to add it by taking the scrub bar at the bottom of your screen and just scrolling to that point in the video. Notice you have the preview on the right, so you can kind of see what frame that video is on. For me, I'm going to start just at the very beginning at 0, 0 and add a pause interaction to give an overview of the lesson. So when you're on that spot, in this case 0, 0, click this blue button, add an interaction. And this is going to show you the menu of options. I mentioned these earlier, but these are all the choices you have when it comes to adding interactivity. We have various question types, some of which are auto-graded, like multiple choice, check all, fill in the blank. You have some free response and discussion options as well. But we're going to start with the pause interaction, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to pause the video, and it'll give you just a space to share directions, an overview, or resources with your learners using that rich text editor. So I'm going to click pause. And now I have my rich text editor right here where it says enter text. And so if you are following along, what I would like you to do here is just on that participant guide, copy and paste the text under this first section where it says pause interaction. So I'm going to copy that over. And again, I'm just going to paste it right here using my keyboard shortcut, Command V or Control V. And notice there's various formatting here. We even have links embedded. You can edit that here as well using some of the format functions that we have available. But I'm just going to copy and paste it and kind of leave it as is because I've already done my formatting previously in Google Docs. So that is the pause interaction. You can add, again, images here, audio, attachments. You can insert special characters or equations if you need and format that text. One thing I do want to mention at this point, though, is the default of an interaction is it would be on the sidebar, so the left side next to the video. But in some cases, maybe you want to overlay the interaction on top of the video or on a certain portion of the video. So again, you could click done, but in this case, let's click customize and go to step 2 in case you want to change the placement of the interaction. So here, again, the default is the sidebar, but you can hover over various parts of the video preview window and click to put that interaction on a specific section. So since this is an overview, I do want it to kind of take up the full real estate and cover the video. And it's going to pause the video anyway. So I'm going to hover over until the full screen is highlighted, and I'm going to place it like that. Again, you can click done here. You can also click advanced if you want to change things like the opacity of that particular interaction, or maybe the location of it. You can adjust the placement there as well. You can make it so that it's collapsible or not, or expandable or not. But I'll leave it as is. And then I will go to step 3, which is timing. But I've already kind of decided I want this at 0:0, so I'm not going to change the timing. But if I wanted to, I could easily drag this to a different timestamp in the video. So I'm going to click done. And just like that, I've got my first interaction built out. At 0:0, my learners will see this pause with an overview of the lesson. And I'm going to pause just for another 15 or 20 seconds in case you're catching up on building that out, or you're building out a different interaction on your own. All right. Now, my learners, I'm thinking about them in this lesson. They have clicked on the PlayPosit bulb. They have read over my overview. And before they actually watch this video, I still want to get kind of a pre-work or pre-assessment here for them to engage with the content before they actually dive in. So I'm going to set up a discussion interaction with a couple questions for reflection. So let's move our scrub bar, and I'm just going to move this to 1 second in. So right after that overview, now 1 second later, they're going to see this discussion. And I'm going to click that same button, add an interaction at 0:01. This time I want you to click the discussion interaction in the bottom right on that first section. And here you're going to notice again that rich text editor. This is a place where you can copy and paste, format your text. What I'd like you to do is copy and paste that second section here where it says discussion interaction, or again, you can do your own do your own lesson as well. And I'm going to post that right here, or paste that right here for my learners to engage with. And so this will give them sort of a discussion forum to engage with their peers and with me on these 2 questions. Notice I mentioned I'm going to give participation points, and I'll show you how to set that up as well. So I'm pasting that in. Again, you can format and adjust the text and media here however you'd like. But if I click this advanced button here, there are a handful of options. You can keep it really simple, but a couple of things you can do if you're feeling ambitious. You can adjust so that on the fourth option here, learners automatically earn full points on submission of comment. That means if a learner types a comment and hits submit, they're going to get the full participation points, which is what I want in this case, since it's just a kind of pre-assessment reflection question. If you uncheck that, it will be manually graded by you based on the quality of their comments. The other cool feature here I wanted to highlight is the fifth checkbox, which will allow you to hide all the other discussion posts until a learner contributes. So if you want learners to kind of see a blank slate before they respond, and then when they respond, they'll see everybody else's posts, you can check that off, which I find to be powerful. So I'm going to keep that checked, and I'm going to click done. Notice I didn't adjust my placement at all because I want it to be on the sidebar next to the video. That's fine by me, and the default is the sidebar. The other thing I do want to show you, though, is how to adjust the number of points for an interaction. So at any point, if you say, hey, I made a mistake, I want to edit this, that's totally fine and easy to do. Just click the three dots in the top right of that interaction, and you can click edit. You can even drag this sliding scale for how many points you want this to be worth. So maybe I'll make it worth 2 since there's 2 questions. You can even move the interaction before or save it as a template or add interactions before or after as well. But again, if you click edit, you can go back and make any changes there and then click done. So I've just changed that to 2 points. The pause interaction, I think, is currently worth 0, which is fine by me since it's just an overview. I don't need that to be worth any points. But now we've got an overview of the lesson and a chance for reflection in a discussion format. But let's do 2 more interactions, and then I'll show you how to actually preview it, adjust the settings, and assign it out to your learners. So now let's use that scrub bar and scroll ahead to 34 seconds into the video. And this is where I want to ask a free response question. So click add an interaction again. This time choose that free response option. And then right here, you're going to, again, if you're following along with me, copy and paste that text from the participant guide. And again, I'm using my keyboard shortcut here. And this one, I'm just going to click done, but I do want to adjust the point value a bit. It's at 3. I'm going to make this one worth 2. So this will be similar to discussion in that it's kind of an open response, but it's just going to be the learner submitting that response for the instructor to see. It will not be collaborative with other learners. So that's a free response question. Again, I can adjust the text there when I edit it. I can also pull in audio recording attachment or other features like images. I'm going to show you that audio recording function in my next example, and I'm going to build out some feedback as well. All right, let's do one more for today's demo. Let's scroll ahead to 1 minute and 4 seconds in. And at this point, I want to ask one check all question for my learners. So I'll click add interaction. And this time choose that check all option. And again, if you're following along, you can just copy and paste at the bottom of that participant guide, that last one that says which of the following quotes would resonate with Derek Sievers. I'm going to paste that using my keyboard shortcut. And actually, what I want to do here is not that. Just want to put the question here. I'm going to copy and paste those answer choices into my answer lines below. So let's kind of copy those one at a time. So notice here, I'm going to put my first answer here. Then my second bullet point, I can click and paste here. Again, keyboard shortcut. If you need to add more answer choices, you can click that add answer option. And then notice that my second choice in my kind of lesson plan here on the left, I've got some feedback for learners. So I'm going to copy and paste that. But to add feedback, all you do is click the gear icon next to that choice and then choose add feedback. And that will give you another line where you can add the feedback. Just if the learner selects that particular choice, they'll receive that feedback. Now I want to check off the answers that are correct. In this case, it's going to be my first and my third choices. And so the feedback is one nice way to personalize the learning a bit, right? Give that automated feedback, kind of scale that for all your learners. One other thing I like to sometimes do is click inside the feedback line here and just record a brief audio clip where you actually read out the feedback and learners can kind of hear your voice sharing that slightly more personalized feedback. So I'm going to do that now. Again, just click in the feedback line, click that microphone audio button, and then select this circle, and then I'm going to record right now. This is not correct. Derek stated movements are started by leaders who teach those to follow. Click stop, and now I can delete that, play it back, or I can click the check button and pull that right into my feedback here. And so now learners will have the option to play that as well if they make that choice. All right, so that's just one kind of extra advanced touch that you can add to this type of question, or really any question that you want to add feedback to. It can be personalized in that way. So I'm going to click done, and just like that, in the last 5 to 10 minutes, we've already built out 1, 2, 3, 4 different interaction types inside of our bulb. Now, I do just want to point out where the templates are located in case you're looking to take advantage of some of the pre-made interaction templates. So if you are looking at the PlayPosit designer here, at the very top, underneath where it says review, you'll see open template gallery. If you click that, you'll see a handful of templates that our team has designed for you to take advantage of, and they'll give you a brief overview of what they are. So maybe you want to add learner feedback opportunity with a poll question at the end of the bulb and a free response question for more details. So all you have to do if you want to add one of these is click apply. It'll kind of give you a chance to say cancel or apply, and then it'll pull that automatically in this case, these 2 questions at the end of your bulb. And you can still click the 3 dots and edit those. You don't have to use them exactly as is, but maybe that will save you some time as well as you're building out content. So that is kind of the workflow for building the interactions. Again, if you have any questions as we're doing this or thoughts, the chat is going to stay available for you. But I do want to show you kind of the last step here. So if you click the review button in the top middle of the screen, you can still change the title of your bulb, your interactive video. You can add an objective. You can even tag the content, so maybe it'll help others find that content and leverage it. You can adjust the playback options. So maybe you want learners to be able to rewind after they see an interaction, or you want them to be able to skip interactions or fast forward. The default is that they can't do those things, but you can easily make those changes here. You can even allow them to view a printable report of the bulb or retake it. And in that case, you can even set a minimum completion score in the form of a percentage. So there's a lot of ways you can adjust the playback here. I'll kind of leave it with the defaults, and then you can also adjust the privacy as well. If you make it public, then people can see in the pre-made bulbs library that bulb and copy it. They can't change yours, but they can copy it and use on their own. You can also just keep it visible to your own institution or private as well. So there's a few ways to adjust privacy, playback, and tags. But let's just say I'm done making my changes. I'm good with that. Click save. Now, the last thing that I typically do before I assign it to my learners is preview. So if you click this preview button, a new tab will open and it will give you a chance to watch that video and see the interactions pop up along the way. And you can kind of skip ahead in this because this is you previewing. This is not the student view. But if you are curious what the student experience is like, you can click the gear icon in the bottom right, and you can actually change the playback mode to learner and see what the settings will be like for the learner versus you as the instructor. So I like to preview the bulb, but let's say that I watched it through, I engaged with my interactions, everything looks exactly how I want. Now I click save, and I'll get a message saying, if you're using a learning management system, to go back to your learning management system. So I'm now going to go back to my tab here with Canvas. And at this point, I'm going to close out my participant guide since I'm done building. And then you'll notice whatever bulb you just built should be at the top. The most recent one is right there at the top. In this case, how to start a movement. And to link it, you'll just click the icon of your LMS. So mine's Canvas here. Yours might be Blackboard or another tool. And you can click that little Canvas icon. And then you'll just get one more question. Do you want to link it self-paced? That means asynchronous. or broadcast, which is the synchronous functionality. Most commonly, people use self-paced. I'll do that for now. I'll click link, and I'll just click select. And now, as long as everything else looks good on my Canvas assignment, I'll just click save, and I can even publish it if I would like to. And as the instructor, you will now see this screen on the assignment where you can download the data in CSV, you can preview the bulb again, or you can monitor that bulb, which will take you to a data page with all your students listed and their engagement. And notice that sync grades button is here in the top left as well for you to sync with your LMS gradebook. One more thing to show you is the student view. So if you're a student and you're accessing this assignment, you will essentially just see an embedded video inside of your assignment, kind of in this seamless format, and just click play. And then you'll be able to engage right from here from this window. You can also make it full screen as well. So that is kind of the student view, exactly how we designed it. So I'm going to leave this for now. And at this point, I'm going to make my way back to our slides to take care of the last couple portions of our session. But again, if any questions are coming up, please put those in the chat. All right, so we mentioned the data and monitoring tools at your disposal. Some of those interactions can be auto-graded, and then you can sync those with your gradebook in the monitor page. You can also use that monitor page to review the data, share personalized feedback, and make those data-driven instructional decisions. So I won't go any further on that piece. I just want to name a couple things about supporting learners, and then, of course, some resources for supporting you as well. So when you first log in PlayPosit, the first few times you'll see this green pop-up come on the screen, and that is going to give you the chance, if you'd like to copy the PlayPosit learner experience bulb into your account, which you can then assign to your learners. That is a kind of easy way for learners to get up to speed with how to use PlayPosit. It is really user-friendly, and a lot of learners kind of just figure it out on their own, but in case you want some extra support, that is available as well. And when I showed you the templates earlier, one of those templates is a learner experience template. And so that will also be another opportunity. You can add that to a bulb to kind of guide students in their first PlayPosit experience. And we also have an article on the learner experience, which is inside of our knowledge base. And I'm going to show you where that is in just a moment. So a couple ways to support learners through the experience bulb, template, and a help article. But for you all, we have the customer resources page, which if you're inside of PlayPosit, you can get there on the left side menu. It is the last option. It's called customer resources. But I will also just go ahead and put that direct link in the chat for you to bookmark as well. This is kind of the one-stop shop for PlayPosit resources. It has things like our PlayPosit Academy, webinars like the one that you're viewing right now, use cases, help articles, office hours twice a week. And so you can see some things there as well. Just to highlight the help articles. So if I go to this customer resources page, which I just put the link in the chat, you can go to that help articles page right here. It's knowledge.playposit.com, and you can search. A lot of these articles are incredibly helpful for answering questions you might have or teaching you some of the new tips and tricks along the way. But you can search here for anything that you might need. For example, that learner experience article, if you need that, that's right here as well for both in a learning management system or without. So super easy, friendly to use. That is right there. The last thing in terms of resources, I'd just like to mention our YouTube page, which is full of short tutorial videos that may be helpful if you're low on time, but just looking for kind of a quick example of how to do something like build a bulb or a playlist. So I'll put that YouTube link in the chat as well. And additionally, all the recordings of our recent webinars are on that PlayPosit YouTube page. So you can always check that out there as well. I mentioned office hours. Those are typically run by my colleague, Jason, who's in the chat here with us twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can get some one-to-one support there. So those are a great opportunity to take advantage of. And then the last thing I just ask of you all is, if you have a moment, would love your feedback, so I can grow as a facilitator and we can kind of improve and make these trainings more meaningful for you all. So I'm just going to put the link for this survey on this session in the chat. If you have a few minutes to fill it out, great. Would totally appreciate it anytime. And if this was helpful for you, if you found this to be purposeful, or you are curious to learn a bit more about PlayPosit, we have a very exciting summer webinar series coming up in June 20th and 21st. It'll be 8 a.m. to 1:30 Pacific, or 11 to 4:30 Eastern. Again, if you register as usual, you'll be able to access the recordings of these sessions. But essentially, this is an opportunity where there's going to be about 16 30-minute presentations from various users of PlayPosit at different locations and institutions across the country. And they will be presenting over the course of those 2 days some of their best practices and the ways that they use PlayPosit in their instructional practice. So it's a really exciting opportunity. You're going to hear from a ton of different users, maybe get some great ideas for you all to learn from and even try out on your own. So that's an exciting opportunity. I do want to share with you, of course, how you can register for that. So in the chat, I'm putting a lot of links in here, but feel free to grab that for later. This is the infographic for this opportunity. It looks like this. And this is just a kind of a brief blurb on what that webinar series is. And you can register for both day 1, June 20th, and day 2, June 21st. And you can feel free to tune in anytime or watch the recordings after as well if you're not available during those time slots. So I just wanted to make sure I named that exciting opportunity. Just register if you're not sure if you'll be able to join, and you'll get access to that content. And with that, it is almost the top of the hour. We've got 2 more minutes today together. So I'll open the floor for any final questions in the chat that you have. But I just want to say at this point, I really appreciate you taking the time, whether you joined us live or you're watching this kind of on your own schedule. Definitely appreciate the time and the energy today. And I hope that this was helpful for you. So I will pause here for any final questions, and then we'll close out in 2 minutes. All right, not seeing any questions in the chat in real time, but at any point, if you need some help, technical support, you can reach out to help@playposit.org. Put that in the chat as well. And if you just want to reach out to me directly, I'll put my email as well, dylan@wevideo.com. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to close us out here, and we'll see you next time.